Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Ready for the fourth Around the World in 80 Rocks, Fossils, and Formations? This is going to be fun. I had another great session doing all this research, and it's going to be really interesting today. I think it's always interesting, but there's some really fun tidbits, especially about some things that we thought we knew, are going to be very elucidating. All right, couple of housekeeping. Please turn off your video now so we can save the bandwidth for the recording. Appreciate that. And everybody, looks like everybody's muted. Please mute yourselves now. Great. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get started and you guys can let me know. You should be seeing uh, my split screen here with the presentation and my notebook. Yes, you can.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Don't use the chat to ask questions, please. Just ask them out loud or warn me if I'm sketching off the camera or something because I can't monitor the chat while I'm doing this. So let's get started. Welcome around the world in 80 rocks, fossils, and formations. This is part one of Africa. And if you are new to joining these, this is quick sketching practice. We are not doing scientific illustration. This is 15 minutes to get started, almost all the way through a sketch, add color if we can, and get some notes down and learn a lot. That's what this is about, learning to about geology and also sketching practice. So we're drawing to learn. I'm Roseann Hanson. I know most of you, but if you're new, I am author of Nature Journaling for a Wildlife, Master of Field Arts. I've been keeping field notes in journals for 40 plus years, way longer than that actually, since I was about 8. And my husband and I have a magazine called Exploration Quarterly. So this is our little review. I do this each time. Just reminders. This helps us as we're going through and taking notes if we're new to this type of information. So rocks are made up of minerals. We'll talk about that as we go through. Minerals are made up of elements such as iron, magnesium, calcium, silicon. And then minerals become rocks through formation processes in the earth. And I love this quote. Think of minerals as cooking ingredients and rocks as the finished dish. And so we all probably know the big overarching. So rocks, the formations are based on these processes: igneous, metamorphic rocks, and sedimentary rocks. And then now I have a tradition, apparently, uh, doing a humor each time. Why wasn't the geologist hungry? Are you guys ready? They lost their appetite. Okay, now we were done with that one. We're going to start in South Africa. And what the heck is this? Does that even look like a mineral or a rock? Well, it's an element, and it's called osmium. It's the element OS, atomic number 76, and it is a transition metal related to platinum, and it's found as a trace element in rocks and other elements. It's the rarest and densest natural element on Earth. So it's used in alloys to make things like electrical contacts, pen nibs, many other things where something really dense and strong is necessary. But it can form a gas, osmium tetroxide, that's very poisonous. So a firm in Switzerland, not too long ago, about 10 years ago, figured out a way to purify it and change the physical and chemical structure to a pristine, safe crystalline form. And that's what we're seeing here. And it's actually being used now in jewelry and watch faces, and it's getting more and more popular. It's also an investment element. So interesting. So we're going to, oh, it's not going to let me. There we go. We're going to sketch. Now you can choose whichever. kind of you'd like to challenge yourself, um, I'm going to sketch the raw blob there. That's actually a melted blob of the osmium. And then I'm going to experiment with doing some of this sparkly texture. So first I'm going to do, I think I'm going to use my water-soluble graphite to do this little guy. And that's because it's going to be really fast and it'll give me a really nice charcoal look, that gray look. But the you can also mix your own or use if you have neutral tint or something you have on your palette. So this is osmium. And this is number one. And it is the element OS, atomic number 76. And it's a transition, oops, metal. In the platinum group. And so that's just to remind me to leave that space there. I'm going to add some more notes in a bit. But now I'm going to take a chance here and do my blob with the, let's see, get this to focus. Come on. Thank you. Speaking to my camera. Now I'm going to start out with this fairly light in value because I can add. It's easy to overdo the graphite. When it leaves some shiny spots. And that's good because it allows me to get some nice texture in there, which this has. And I want to get those kind of flaws, kind of holes, and add some marks because this isn't a perfect sphere. It's kind of a blob. Yeah, it's working not too bad. See how you kind of feather this around. This is a fun um, addition to your kit if you don't have it. And then we can add a little shadow. Has anyone heard of this element before? All right, and we'll finish taking some notes. This is the rarest, densest natural element. Oops. And it, let's see, processed to purify. It changed structure and chemical to make crystalline form. And so let's try practicing kind of making that sparkle color. What I'll do is I'm going to just kind of create a kind of a circle. I'm not going to try to do the whole disc, but I'll make this sort of this is what a close up of the sparkly new processed osmium. So if you use a dry brush technique, so this brush is barely damp, and this is a very floppy brush. But if I just drag it across barely with, I'm doing kind of the pink magenta, not going to go too heavy on it. And then there's sort of a blue gray. Can barely see that on my there. Let's make a blue gray with my, just going to take my bright manganese blue and gray it out with the burnt sienna. Or if you have in your palette, if you have some neutral tint or Payne's gray or Jane's gray. Okay, now I'm going to dry that brush off and see if we can kind of just, I don't want to get solid. It's kind of hard. Dry brush is a real, looks like that pink kind of goes, it's reflecting. So see if I like that or not. Oops, my pen is hitting the wet. We'll see if I'm going to let that settle and see how that works. As we move on to the next one. So we can go crystalline form and do an arrow here. That's hard to do. So I was definitely challenging myself on that one. So I'm going to work on that, come back. I could probably darken up this guy a little bit now too. And then we'll move to our next one because it's been about 15 minutes. Okay, moving to the next. Where are we going next? Let's see. It's always interesting to see. We're not going to go too far north. We're going up to still in Southern Africa, South Africa. And this is fascinating. I was so happy to find this. Really, really cool. These are microfossils. They are tiny. I mean, look at the 1 millimeter size marks on these. This is a whole ecosystem of insects and vertebrates that was captured in a location in the Northern Cape. And what it is represents an ecosystem in Gondwana land, the Gondwana supercontinent. And they're able to take this and see much more about how life was in this area during the Permian. So it's everybody goes gaga over dinosaurs, but this is really cool. This is like really even better for getting to know the ecosystem. So we're going to sketch one of these fossils. And if you want, you can do a representation of the uh, landscape too. It is a delta lakeshore. They call it lakeshore, but then I read somewhere else they called it a delta system. So it's a river going into a large body of water. This Southern Cape Province in South Africa, and it's going to allow reconstruction of a 268 million year old ecosystem. So there we go. Let's see what we can do here. That Hermipteran true bug forewing, it's only about 3 millimeters long. Can you just understanding the amazing uh, shape that's in? You can see everything on that wing. Or you could do the stonefly nymph. Which one are we going to do?
Can you zoom in on the pictures, please?
Sure, yeah. Thank you for the reminder. How's that? Good?
Perfect. Thank you.
So I think I'm going to sketch well, I'll try to do both, but let's do I'm going to start with the stonefly, or the nymph. Looks like it's about 15 millimeters long. Interesting. So I'm going to just go direct to ink here. And I'm kind of doing dots. And then I'm going to come in and fill with a dark watercolor because I want to be sure to sort of capture that this is in stone. So we're practicing drawing fossils here. So we want it to show the kind of graininess. It's okay to be a little messy on that. And
Roseann,
yeah.
this is Sherry. We use stone flies now to help determine water quality. They're the Plecoptera and two other types of bugs can only live in really clean water, in fresh water. And so they're indicators, if you find them, that a water area is probably fairly clean.
Oh, that's fabulous.
It's kind of a biological water quality test that we use. It's interesting to see one so old.
I know. You just don't think about that till you start reading more about the fossil record and just how old many creatures are. But that's really neat about stoneflies.
And
And
we can tell that where that delta is or the lake or whatever, it's rather clean. It hasn't been polluted by humans, dog poop, and that sort of thing. So
oh,
that's good. That's my plug.
that's awesome. Continuing to just sort of dot out outlines here. Just amazing the detail that captured. Let's see, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is slightly smaller, and then we have the just use your pen or pencil for texture. Looks like there's a depression around it a little bit. Even these little rivulets that come in, like it's sank into sand. I could spend a lot of time in the doing the dots, but I better stop. So I'm going to mix some, well, first, hopefully that will be dry. I want to put in some of that kind of terracotta color, which kind of shows through. I'm going to do a wash. I'm going to just do it over the whole thing because it shows through. Now let's mix a gray. With I use indanthrone blue and burnt sienna, so I wanted blackish gray. It's good that it's still damp so we can get that. I like the look of just a little bit of pigment, not a lot. If you feel like you've got too much, you can dab it. And we'll kind of catch the darker sides. There's like these strips down the side. A little bit more water. And if you wanted to, if you have a little bit of this gray, do some dry brush. See, I'm just picking up. We can add some texture like that. This brush has seen better days, so it's actually good for this. So what we're trying to do is we want to make this look like sandstone, which it is. And let's remember to write some details as well. So this is, I'm going to need to. So it'd be fun to do, if we can do the little ecosystem here too. Although, I'm being mindful, I want to keep my time careful here. So number 2, this is the site is called Onder Karoo Lagerstadt. It's the Permian Gondwanan Lakeshore ecosystem fossils. So this is Onder Karoo Lagerstadt. Oh, interesting. See how I switched to doing block letters instead of cursive when I did the Dutch or this is probably Afrikaner. Okay, and this is Permian. Lakeshore fossils. And this guy is a stonefly nymph. And let's not forget to put a measure in there. And we'll be sure to put what Sherry said too. So this is I think that's the genus Plecoptera. Or is that a family? So right here, this is just 1 millimeter. If you want, you could, draw the whole thing and estimate. That's probably 12, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11 to 12 millimeters. So this is South Africa. This is a very rare fossil find because of just how high quality they are. Rarely get insects like this. And it will allow reconstruction or more knowledge of a Gondwana Delta system. And that is 200 so we'll say 266 to 268 million years ago. And as Sherry says, stoneflies are water quality indicators, the nymphs. Nice. I like the way that came out. Didn't overdo it, which is my tendency, just to keep going back and back and back. And it'll be time to move to our next one. I'm actually keeping to my time today, which is amazing. Let me turn my camera back on because it was kind of obscuring things. Anyone, I'll be curious to see if anyone tackled the ecosystem. Maybe if you have a larger journal than I have. All right, where are we going next? We're going to slide over to Namibia. And this is me inspecting these really interesting, there's like gigantic geodes. What's even more interesting is the landscape this is in. So these are tubes that apparently water infiltrated and then it formed crystalline structures around. So it was super cool. I was geeking out. Look at the larger landscape. This is a very famous formation in Namibia, and it's massive the way these layered, tortured rocks form. This is where we are at the Uhab River, and that's where that was taken, the photo here. And this is the landform. It's incredible. So we drove down here and through this incredible landscape down. There's the road coming in here. And it is called the Zericene turbid turbidite system. And turbidite systems are interbedded with these marbles. It's a low-grade metamorphosed sedimentary rock system that was folded and tilted during the Pan-African orogeny 530 to 510 million years ago. And it was formed many, many years before that, hundreds of millions of years before that in a marine environment. So it's a sedimentary. Super cool that you can just see this right there, right up close. So let's sketch that. I'm going to just shift some things around, get this so you can see my pages. I'm going to move my little head over here. I don't know if that moves for you, but it does in the recording, so that's important. So I want to show, since really the story is about the Zericene turbidite system, I want to sketch this really cool um, rock formations there. I'm going to start with I think I'll just do a bounding box. If you don't use those frequently, they're really useful for keeping yourself kind of contained, especially if I were sitting here live doing this, I would do the same thing because you could be there all day trying to sketch the the system that the whole turbidite, oh, it just goes on forever and ever. The whole walls of the canyons are this way. So what we'll do is I'm actually just going to, sketch off the photo. Doesn't have to be perfect, but remember to keep it kind of raggedy. And then don't forget to give us the bottom here so we can show the scale and the sand and the little person, which is me. Little tiny person. And then we want to just capture these cool alternating bands and keep your pen or pencil, skip along so you're not doing solid lines. It's going to, when you're doing geology, it's rarely a hard, sharp edge. See how I'm skipping a bit, make some close together. make some farther apart. And then we'll use color. There's some fissures in here. There's a little broken bits. And then as it climbs here, there's a bit more of a different color. And just use your pencil or pen to create that texture. So these are much more a kind of flat and formed together. This is a slightly different color, and so not quite as perfectly flat or straight, I should say. Different formation coming in here, but it all got folded together. And I'm not going to put in the mountain behind it. It's a kind of a visual distraction that we want to do without. Now I'm going to mix grays, darks, get a nice puddle going here. And then the other color, gonna grab some of that burnt sienna and make it a dirty burnt sienna because it's not really, I don't want it to be perfect, right? So let's get some of that color in here. See how I'm trying not to have really hard lines. And this is nice and damp, so I'm letting it bleed. You want that look here. Nice thing about burnt sienna is you can move it around and it doesn't matter on your paper. It's pretty forgiving. Now there's a nice hard, right at the edge of this is a nice hard, dark undercut. So I'm going to emphasize that with just a tiny bit of that water-soluble charcoal. And now I can go and do these stripes. And there's a little bit of you know, the burnt sienna in here too. So again, it's kind of a dirty burnt sienna. And then a fairly pale. I'm going to reserve that one. There's that one really strong light. Let's define that here. Okay, so I want to reserve that. All right, that's getting there. Be careful to let it keep having that very striped look. Okay, let's throw some sand in here. It was a very sandy riverbed here. And then for good measure, I'm going to add some. Now, those are dried, that's dried foliage. I'm giving it a slight green tint though, because otherwise it's going to end up looking just like blobs of yellow. So I'm cheating a little bit. That's okay. Just to give it, it's kind of, they're almost like tumbleweeds. So that's brown, excuse me, kind of a green, and now I'm going over it with my burnt sienna. So that way it doesn't just look like sand blobs. There, that worked. That browned it up, so you add the red in. So you see, we're not trying to make this 100% scientific illustration here. We're capturing it. This is what we do in our journals. And for geology, this is a great capture, and then we can take notes. So this is this our third three? This is the Uhab River. Zarazine. Didn't leave enough room there. Turbidite. System. So turbidites equals they are embedded with marbles, interbedded. So much denser. So it's a low grade metamorphosed. So we have two formations here. It's sedimentary rock that's been metamorphosed. Cool. And so it was deposited. You can say DEP for deposition, marine environment. Oh, it charged my pen. Hold on. Oop. And then my pen just pooped on me. Lovely. Okay. So that was 750 to 580 million years ago. And then during the Pan-African orogeny, and orogeny is a mountain building a massive event. So 530 some odd million years ago, that's when the folding happened. And I'm going to try to get this ink off me. Sweet. You can see my fingers. Wow. I meant to soak my pen, uh, so I'm having to manually charge it. I forgot. Okay, sweet. Keeping on track. So hopefully you got a nice sketch in there because we're going to keep moving here. Where are we going now? We are heading, wow, well, this time we swept across the continent out to Madagascar, to this incredible place. This is a short little drone video. It's going to show the scale in just a moment here. Look in the bottom middle. Those are people on a viewing platform. So now you have the scale. Those are huge trees. Someone walking down a pathway. You can see the catwalk on the left. Amazing. This is a really cool landscape. It's a karst formation, Karst, and in Madagascar, that's known as a tsingy. It's synonymous. So water eroded uplands, the water has formed caverns and fissures in this limestone. And what's really cool about this, being Madagascar and so isolated, is also doubly isolated. These tsingys uh, have really rare species on them that are endemic to this landscape alone. And they have three different zones: the summit, the slope, is really, really steep limestone, and then the base of each needle, different ecosystems. So each one has endemic species that exist only on those locations. So super cool landscape. This is what they look like if you were viewing them from right at the level of this is like the top of one. This is kind of looking across. So we can draw I think the best way to do that is you don't want to try to tackle the whole thing in just a quick 15-minute sketch. Um, we want to, oh, come on. Oh, my computer just doesn't want to do it the way I want to do it. Um, so what we want to do is show the really cool needle formation. And then we will try to show the forest behind it. And what I recommend we do, I'm actually I'm going to do the sketch over here. I'm going to do it in pencil to start. So what I'm going to do is zero in on just one formation. You don't have to do it, exact here. We're just going to do some pointy, really cool formations and then make that more detailed and then try to show that forest around it and trees. So for example, I'm just going to kind of go for it here. I'm using the inset as kind of a guide. And I'm literally am making something up sort of here because, let's say I was sketching on site and this is what was in front of me. So feel free to just be a little bit more creative here. Let your pencil or pen really, really have its way with creating these really cool formations. So I'm going to make this one sort of now kind of disappear into there's always this foliage at the base and larger trees. So I'm going to hit this with watercolor, so I'm not going to try to make it exact. I'm just sort of marking this as a reminder. And then what we can do, so this has foliage and you can even, if you wanted to put some in between there to show that it has depth. So we'll maybe stick some trees foliage in here. Then really lightly sketch in behind, and we're going to leave that as just sort of a ghost of this whole Tsingy forest. To show that it goes on and on and on. But you don't have time to do all that, so that's how we'll do it. So we'll fill this in with watercolor now. Trying a lot of gray today, aren't we? I'm going to use the water brush. So I've still got some gray in here. Let's hit it with some light gray just to get that going. Just a base color, maybe leave some of it for some highlights. But I'm not going to color the background. Oops, I'm going to put green in there. So it's just what I had on hand, so that's a good way to just sort of start that out. We'll put some texture in here with other darks, but I want to get before I destroy them, I want to get my greens. So your first pass is lighter colors. And then your third passes will be your darker colors. So for example, I can go right in while that's damp and darken the base of the foliage. Oops, I can fix that with grays. Okay. Now, what do we want? We want some more grays, but hey, I'm using this a lot today, the water soluble charcoal. So get some shadows in here. See how that looks. And if it's damp, you can also hit it with the charcoal when it's damp. And that works really well. The water soluble. graphite. I called it charcoal. It's water soluble graphite. Sorry. So that gives a pretty good approximation of the seas, the karst landscape. And let's be sure to take some notes on this. So this is the Grand Singhi Forest, a karst landscape. So this is number 4. And so it's in Madagascar. And it is a karst landscape. And that's the Singhi is synonymous with karst. And an exceptional number of endemic animals or species. And it's on the specifically on the layers on the needles. How do we put that? So I have the summit, the slope, and the base. That's pretty cool. Cool stuff. I like that. It gives you oh, I know what we should do. These, I should have written how tall they are. So the needles range, I think, from, few dozen feet to 200 or 300 feet tall. So we want to put up like around up to 300. And it's thousands of acres. Always good to get scale in there. So I can't believe I'm actually hitting my mark on time. You see how we're sort of getting the essence of these things. It's
Roseann, is
pretty
that a
well.
person on the bridge?
Yeah, yes. So there you go.
Oh my gosh.
And
He's huge.
it is huge. There's a viewing platform right there.
Oh, wow.
And you can see how far it goes. Wouldn't you I just would love to go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're hopping back across to the continent. And this time, woohoo, this is fun. Um, Back to gemstones. So rubies. These are interesting. I learned a lot. Didn't really think about them. They're not real common, so they're worth a lot. But it is an aluminum oxide with chromium, and it is a variety of corundum, it's called. Um, and then it's related very closely to sapphires. So sapphires are also a corundum. And so sometimes at some point in time, rubies were called red sapphires. And they're uh, mined all over the world, but in Africa, Mozambique, Tanzania, and Kenya. And they're extremely hard, 9 on the Mohs scale of 10 is the most hard diamonds. And then they're worth a lot, 8,000 to $80,000 a carat. So really beautiful uh, rubies with this desirable color are very valuable. So we can sketch either you can tackle um, how to get this luminosity, or we can do it embedded in the quartz here. Um, for time's sake, what I'll do is I'm going to show it how they're embedded or often found in another substrate. And I'll try to do a zoom in of get the luminosity and color because I'm not sure I have time to do all the layers and drying we would need to do to get this beautiful color. And I'll show you how I'd start it and then I'll finish it. Um, because you need to put a layer down, let it dry, put a layer down, let it dry in order to get that. So first I'm just going to do the quartz rock. Doesn't have to be exact, but because I want to show the ruby crystals growing here. And it'll allow me to play and practice with uh, my color. There's one growing on there. And then we want to show just with light pencil the structure of the quartz is kind of fractured and has lots of nodules. So just let your pencil make that information on your rock, as it were. Don't want to overdo it, so I think that's good. One thing I'll do first off is get using the water-soluble graphite, I'll be able to pull a little bit of a shadow down here so we can just get a sense that this rock is sitting on my page and not just floating in nowhere. All right, so the first thing I'll do is I need some more of that gray. Let me clean this off so I don't accidentally put green. But I want a really, really, really super faint gray. Again, if you have gray in your palette, Payne's gray or something, that's great. I'm mixing Payne's gray is basically what I'm doing. So I'm going to get this whole thing wet. There's too much gray in that. I need it. Ooh, look at that. This water brush is dirty. Okay, so I'm going to remove that. One thing I've noticed about this Tombow water brush is it's hard to get clean. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding a little tiny bit of this really, really light gray just to show this quartz. That's all I'm going to do. I don't want to mess that up because I'm going to be putting some other stains on top of that. But that's interesting. So I'm testing these water brushes, and this one just doesn't get as clean as the Pentel. Interesting. Okay. Let's get this nice dark shadow. Of course, here I am getting dark in the brush again.
Hi, Roseann.
Yeah.
This is Heidi. Would you mind moving your talking head?
Oh, yeah, sure. What you see is really different than what I see. So how's this? Better or worse? How about if I just do that?
Let me see.
I just turned it off.
Huh. There. Yep, thank you.
All right. So what I'm doing now is I want to get my ruby in, which I'm going to go in with a pretty strong pure magenta because I'm going to be using a fair amount of different layers to make that look redder. But I want that kind of bright as well. You wouldn't go in with, if you have a pre-made red on your palette, you probably wouldn't want to go in direct with red because you want to build that color up. That's how you get the luminosity and the interesting colors. So you'll see now I'm going to build a little bit of yellow on the corner of my palette there. And I'm going to drop there. Now I have a redder red and I can go in, see how that suddenly we've got more interest and we can build those crystal. Just barely touch those. And while that's drying, I'm going to pull some of that, do some orange. So funny kind of stain. Oop. It's almost like an iron oxide stain, isn't it? Trying to get just the right color. And I want to make it really wet. Let's see. Oop. Not liking that brush. I'm going back to this one. I'm pulling some of that color off, not liking that color as much. I need more. There. It needs to set off the red a little better, so I warmed that up. Now I'm going to go in and hit some really dark just a little bit right here. And that's going to help make that kind of ruby jump off the page, as it were. Okay. Still need more of that orangey stain. But I'm not loving how that's looking. That's better. Interesting stain, isn't it? I think that will dry lighter and look better. So I'm going to leave that the time being and do some notes before I ruin it anymore. One thing that would be good is see if we can do just a little bit of just darker shadows here. I'm going to stop because I'm in danger of wrecking it. So let me grab my pen and take our notes. Let's see. So this is our fifth one. And again, I'm going to charge my pen and hope it doesn't poop on me. And a ruby is aluminum oxide. So we have Al2O3. So that's the oxide, and with chromium. Nice. So it is a variety of a corundum. And it used to be called red sapphires. And found in Mozambique, in Africa. Tanzania and Kenya. And it's a number 9 on the Mose. And it's very valuable. So 8,000 to 80,000 per carat. Nice. Okay. Well, let that dry, come back, do some more work on it when I have a little bit more time, because we're just now hitting the 15 mark. Not bad. And that I like the way that came out. You can see how you get the by using not a solid color like pulling red off your palette, by building it with the magenta, you get a much nicer uh, gemstone look. And let me turn my camera back on. There we go. Okay. And where are we off to now? Come on. Can't remember. Ah, yeah. Nice. This is fun. All the way up to the Kenya-Tanzania border. Yay! You knew we had to do this for one of our biggest landforms, the tallest mountain in Africa, Kilimanjaro. Often you can only see the top or the bottom, but almost never do you get to see it like this. These were taken from the Amboseli site in Kenya. And here's a zoom around looking, we're in Kenya here, looking into Tanzania. Here's the border. At Kilimanjaro, it's actually 3 volcanic cones. It is a dormant volcano. This one is still potentially can explode. This one and this one are extinct. So here we go. I'm just going to zoom around so you can kind of see the extent of the massiveness of this mountain. And it's fun when you're there, you're standing there, you're looking and looking, and you can't tell if you're seeing it, and then you realize you're looking about 5,000 feet too low. You move your eyes up, and then you see the summit. It's pretty ridiculously tall. Pretty cool here. So now we've zoomed around. Now we're in Tanzania, and now we're going to go in and we're going to look at the crater of the high point here. Zooming in here, there is a glacier and an ice field, and they're both disappearing rapidly. So here we are looking into the crater. Pretty cool. So it is a stratovolcano, and it is 19,341 feet or 5,895 meters. And so Kibo is the high point, and then Moenzi is the one on the left, and then Shira is on the right. Those are the cones. There are a vast array of ecosystems, so going from the savanna at the bottom to the ice cap at the top, montane forests, cloud forests, and sadly, 80% of the cap has been lost, and it's projected to disappear almost entirely. Well, pretty much entirely soon. So this photo was actually taken, I think in 2014, it said. I didn't take that photo, but that's a lot of snow. But the actual permanent ice cap and glaciers are disappearing. So what I did was, if you want to sketch the whole stratovolcano with its 3 points, you can do this one. Or if you want to do something a little more artistic, landscape, we can do this one. I included this so you can see there's a cloud bank there, but you can make a easy estimate of what the shoulder looks like there. I think I'm going to do that over here. And I think I'm going to use pencil and just zero in on, I'm going to start with, I'll put Moenzi on the left, kind of poking up like that. So do your pretty major peak or poiky peak. And then there's a long shoulder coming up. And when you're far down in Amboseli, then the peak, it's got this flat looking top. And there's like a bump. And then it goes off to the side. We're not going to be able to, I'm not able to fit in. I didn't leave room for the third cone for Shira, but it's over here. And then what you want to do is let's be sure to show kind of when there's snow, what it looks like. And then if we want to kind of show some scale, I can't resist. We'll have to put in the savanna. So we know this is Kilimanjaro. So we put in some tortillus acacias. Those are the famous umbrella-shaped acacias that are kind of formed by grazing from the giraffes. Just sort of gives it the iconic African landscape look. So we'll get in here with some color. Let me make sure well, I'm going to be mixing dark blue anyway, because I'm going to go in with, well, because it's pretty much indanthrone, but I'm going to throw in just a tiny bit of magenta to purple it out just a little. Oh, well, that is way too much purple, huh? I'm going to darken it a little. I don't want it to be like in my face blue. Whoops. Meant to be mixing that on screen. So I wanted kind of a, there we go. Now I'm going to do one layer fairly light of the indanthrone. Leave a little bit of snow on Mwenzi. I'm keeping it nice and wet here. See if I can get this to focus better. Come on. Okay, snap. There we go. So it's not going to have a lot of detail. It's really far away. So I'm now, and it's going to be hazy. I'm going to let that dry. Might want to do some sky and clouds to set off the snow cap. I'll do that after. Let me clear the palette and add our Savannah real quick, because that's the fun part too. Okay. Great. Now, here, doing some sky and clouds would be good, but I'm going to write in there first because the way I did the layout, that is going to need to happen first. However, now that I've written there, so this is number 6, or I've got wet paint, and there we go. Now you can see. I will probably come back on a second pass and darken this a tiny bit, but not too much, because you want it to look like it's really far away. In fact, I'm going to think about that. It's important to make sure you don't look like it's much, much closer. So if I put that there, then I can go Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro. So it's a stratovolcano. Very popular climbing. And it's 3 cones. And so we have Kibo, Mawenzi, did I get that right? Mawenzi. And Shura. And these 2 are extinct. And this guy is dormant. And this is Kibo. And it is 19,341. And we want to be sure to say 80% of ice cap is lost. And if you have room, then we're going to lose the rest of it in the not too distant future. Oh, right. Well, that's nice. So this is coming out well. Let me let that dry while we go on to the next one. You see how doing the foreground really helps make it look huge, which is what we want. But where are we going next? Because we're getting there. Actually doing great on time. Last time I went a bit over. We are heading, I think, inland right now. We are. Now, this is an interesting one. This is where I learned a lot. So, what is this? Well, it is an element that we wouldn't be having this Zoom meeting or our phones without. It is in everything. It is necessary to build the capacitors to make this stuff work, but it has a heavy price, and we need to learn about that because it's mined very crudely in the DRC, the Republic of Congo. And there's a lot of exploitation of miners, like kids, working in these horrendous conditions to get this out. It is called coltan, and it is a metallic ore that niobium and tantalum are extracted from. And it's made to build capacitors to power our phones, computers, automotive electronics, our cameras. So DRC is the world's largest coltan producer, but there are massive, large-scale environmental degradation and worse, massive human rights abuses. So this is something that's being addressed by many organizations. Hopefully, we can sort that out and see that we see some justice for that. Let me go to, whoops, there. So interesting to sketch this. It'd be easy to just sort of go crazy with details, but we have, we're field sketching. We don't want to go like deep down, and unless you're like illustrating a geology manual. So what we're going to do is do a quick sketch. And I'm going to just do capture the shape here with pencil. And don't get too hung up and precious about being exact. And don't be afraid to use, an eraser if you need to. And it looks like it's in kind of blocks. And there's like a shelf here. And then it's kind of got fins, if you will. Like I said, would be really easy to kind of get into the weeds on sketching every little detail here. So I'm trying not to. I'm trying to get the essence of it, not copy it exactly. There you can see with just a few pencil marks, we've captured it pretty well. And now we can go in and with our color, just have some fun with that. And I'm going to need gray again. But first, my favorite, we're going to add some burnt sienna, which I use a ton of. Oh, and just so I don't forget, and it doesn't, just we're going to have to show it sitting on the page. So there's my shadow. And we need gray, so. And Danthroon and burnt sienna. Oh no, I forgot. I have to put the burnt sienna down. Okay. Is my talking head out of the way? Are we okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I just want to get some of this in here before I forget and don't leave space for it. It's kind of got rusty looking bits on the surface here. Now, I don't want to color it in 100% because I want it to show it as shiny in places too. So try to reserve some. It's hard to reserve sometimes, especially with water brushes, I find. I think might make it easier if I get it damper. You can always build up color, but it's really hard to take it away if you forget and color something in. This graphite's just coming in really handy today. Now I need darker darks. Just a few, and I can lift these a little if I get it a little bit too dark. Like so. think I'm going to let that sit. I need to bring in more of that gold. Let's see. That really goldy color autofocus here. It's going to go out for a minute. Come on. Hey. There we go. Yeah, that gold color is a challenge. It's kind of bright and then not bright. There. I think that's a bit better, a little bit brighter. There, I'm going to let that. I think I'm in danger of overworking it, but it's getting there. And we need to write down the details because we need to remember this one. This is 7, coltan. It is columbite tantalite, and that's a shortening. Say COLTAN, columbite, tantalite is coltan. And it's a metallic ore. From which niobium and tantalum are extracted. And it's used in nearly all electronic devices. The niobium or tantalum capacitors. Okay. Important thing to know. And now it's time to move on to our last stop. So it went quickly. And where do you think we're going? We're on superlatives. We have the highest mountain. How about we zip back down to Zimbabwe, Botswana area? And we have the incredible Victoria Falls. Now, there's some really cool stuff I learned about this. Check this out. Here's the satellite view. So here is the river coming in. Here are the falls, and then the exit from the gorge. And these slits like this here, this one here, this, those are former falls. So there's been 8 different falls in this system over millions of years. Here's showing them here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. and the eighth is the current. So what happened was a gigantic, so there was a geologic event that caused the river to be blocked, and then it changed course, and then it flooded this huge area. The Magadakati pan is where this lake was. And at a certain point, then it overflowed the lake and went into another river system and then started eating into the basalt. And here's how it worked. So basalt has massive fissures. And so after all the lighter stuff was washed away, the basalt bedrock is left. And then it doesn't just go away in grains, it's carried away in giant chunks. So it eats away at the basalt bedrock into these fissures. And that's how you get that zigzaggy. So pretty cool to see. Here's where it used to run and then changed course, became the Zambezi. So pretty cool. And what's really fun, let's see, it's the world's largest waterfall based on width by height. So since it's 5,600 feet wide and 108 meters, excuse me, 354 feet high, um, that makes it by volume the largest waterfall. And it's called the current gorge is called the Batoka Gorge. And the uplift that blocked the river was 5 million years ago. So pretty cool. And what I want to sketch, I'm going to do a block diagram here and then show the river and its zigzaggies and this. So it moved, the waterfalls move back upstream, upriver over time. And so they think this is going to be the next one here, the next falls, a million years from now, maybe. Okay, so let's see. Now you can also, if you want to have fun, I left the waterfall there. It's just, I think it would be, we would want to do to show the extent of the waterfall. You want to do as much of the whole thing as you can, which we do have a picture of that I can put on the website if anybody wants to tackle that later. But I really want to do this fun block diagram. I'm going to kind of show, because I want to show the geology of the river. I think I make that too big. Changing my mind. Make it a little smaller. Okay, and then let's put this there. And let's see, so you want to show the basalt gorge here and the other side of it here. And this is the water coming. Can make so it's called Mosiatunya, the smoke that thunders. So we want to show, there's just the lip here. And then you can see the basalt here. The bedrock. And then what's I think just really fascinating, I just love let's show the river coming in. Let's see, where am I going to put this? To plan here. Here's the current falls. Oops, need to move. And then, so here's the exit from the gorge, and we come down like this. There's another zig, and then it comes down. Another zig here. There's an old here. Wow, there's like a sharp turn there. Comes down. This is an old river there, or fissure, I should say. Here's another one here. Comes around. Fascinating, isn't it? So that way I'm showing the river. Probably want to catch this in pen. So this is the current falls. And then we can just show let's see, didn't quite get that right. So you want to you don't have to get this exact, but showing the kind of islands and how it braids so much. And then when it gets down to the gorge, that's when it spreads out into all these tendrils and makes it flow all over the gorge at once. Pretty cool. So I'm going to hit that with pen as soon as I find my pen. Oh, there it is. And also get our diagram. I'm just going to do the outside of the block with pen. It's kind of fun how that worked. You really get a sense of the river building, as it were. And that it's so dynamic, right? Who knew there were 8 Victoria Falls, or Mosi-oa-Tunyas more properly? Fun. When we were in Botswana, I did not get to go see the falls. When we were there, it was it was a big drought, and so sadly, the falls were really scarce, and to get in, we would have had to leave Botswana, enter Zimbabwe, and we had our own vehicle, so it would have been a bit of a pain. And since the river was not really showing its glory, we skipped it. So we'll have to go back. All right. So we can hit this with a little color, and then we're about ready to wrap up. Look at how red the earth is around that, all the iron oxide. This is pretty crazy. So we'll to sort of show water, we'll try to give this like but now, I mean, you really want all that. You don't want to fill it up because it's all smoky. And we'll just do maybe some, since it's very red earth, we'll do burnt sienna on the gorge. And you can do a different color on the sides if you want. But we're going to do the basalt dark gray. And then you might, what for the river here, I'll just color it blue, nice and danthone, or you can do indigo. Just trying to show all those tendrils. You can go back and we can color in the islands with kind of a burnt sienna later if we want. All right, and we need to label the sky. So this is Mosiatunya. And got to charge my pencil again. Oops, not showing it. So I prefer the primary, we call it Mosiatunya, the local name. Smoke that thunders. Nice. It's also Victoria Falls. And it is world's largest by volume. So it is 5,000, no, yeah, 5,600 feet wide by 354 tall. And it had 8 historical falls on the Zambezi. So we can number them if you want. I didn't make room for all of them, but it gives you an idea. Nice. Oh, and you didn't see that. Sorry about that. Okay. So fun way to depict a river. So think about that when you're going places, to think of a new way to depict it. Yes, you can just draw the river, but think about drawing a block diagram of how it was formed. So that's the last stop on this particular program. And as always, thank you so much for coming. If you had fun and enjoy these free programs, then consider a tip jar at exploringoverland.com/tip jar. I will put that in the chat. And if you all want to share what you've done, I always enjoy it. If anybody wants to share, use the raise hand feature. Anyone want to share what you've done? There's always, okay, I'm putting this in the chat and then I'll grab you. There we go. So Sonia, you're first. Turn on your video so I can spotlight you.
Okay, I don't know if I turned on my video, but wait a second.
I don't see it. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
All right. Let me spotlight you.
Okay. There's
Yay. Oh, fantastic. How fun.
Kilimanjaro,
Oh, nice
and,
colors. Well done.
and there's and it looks much more gray in this. It's bluer in my version, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, our cameras sometimes change the colors.
Yeah. And these are kind of goofy. There's my little cars.
Ooh, I love how you go direct watercolor. I just love that. Fantastic.
It has mixed results, and there finally is
Yeah, we did a lot of gray today, didn't we?
we did a lot of gray.
I should have warned you guys. I didn't know until later. Thank
That's
you so much.
okay. It's okay.
Hey, Lisa, turn on
Thank
your video and
you.
I can
Thank you.
spotlight you.
Here I
Okay.
am.
We
Wait.
lost you. There you
There.
go.
Okay.
Nice.
Here's
Oh, well done. Oh, you did the
first thing.
ecosystem. Yay. I'm glad you got
Yeah.
that in. Well done.
This is the first time I've done this kind of class, so this is fun.
Oh, fun. Oh, good job. Nicely done. Oh, I
I
love
was drawing the wrong rock when you started.
Oh, there's
Just trying
no
to keep
wrong.
it
You just do whichever one you feel
right.
like. And that was the more challenging one. That takes a lot of time to build up the colors to get the ruby.
Right.
I didn't have time to go back and back and back. So well done. Good job.
Sure. And here's the others.
Oh, I love it. More direct watercolor. This is great. And you took lots of notes. You were working hard.
I did. Yeah. And here's this, the last two.
Oh, nice job on the smoke on, the mist on the
Waterfall.
block diagram. Yay. Well done.
I'm
Nice.
pleased with it. This is a lot
Good.
of fun.
Oh, well, thank you all. That was super fun. More interesting things, lots of things to learn. So we'll do the next half of Africa in the next one. I'm not sure when because we'll be moving, so there might be a couple of months now between these two. The next one because I'm not sure I can do it in the middle of a move. Oh, this is so fun. Um, Thank you. I hope everyone has a great weekend. And I know some folks back in the East have been experiencing some flooding. We had a few of our attendees say they couldn't come because they were flooded out. So thinking of them and have a great,
A lot of places had bad weather
yeah,
recently.
Pennsylvania in particular.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. And take care. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye. I'll send the recording out.